You don't remember the river, cowboy? I'm the girl who gave you that stone, said the Apache woman. The cowboy had been living in the same small town for many years. He kept to himself. He woke early, drank strong coffee, and worked on small jobs around town. People knew him as a quiet man who had a lot of memories locked inside him. He did not talk much about his past. He only smiled politely when someone asked. He owned a small ranch, but it was not as big as the ones in the stories. The land was dry and the grass was thin. The wind blew through the trees and made the same old sound every day. He had lived there long enough to feel like the land belonged to him. But sometimes, when the wind changed direction, he felt something in his heart move, like it was trying to wake up. He tried to forget the old days. He told himself that those days were behind him. He had a life now. He had a routine. He did not need to think about what happened before. He did not need to remember, but memory has a way of coming back when you least expect it. One late afternoon, the cowboy was walking into town. He had just finished repairing a fence and was heading to the general store to buy some supplies. The sun was low in the sky and the shadows were long. The air felt calm, like the world was holding its breath. He walked past the old trading post at the edge of town. The building looked the same as it always had. Its wood was weathered and the windows were dusty. A few years ago, it had been a busy place where people traded goods and shared stories. Now, it was mostly empty. Only a few travelers stopped by, and even they were quiet. The cowboy paused for a moment. He looked at the trading post, and a strange feeling came over him. He could not explain it. It was like something inside him was tugging, asking him to remember something he had buried long ago. He shook his head and continued walking. But then he heard a voice. It was soft, calm, and steady. It sounded familiar, but he could not place it. He stopped in his tracks and turned slowly toward the trading post. A woman stood near the door. She was not young, but she still looked strong. Her hair was dark and long, tied back in a simple braid. She wore a plain dress, and her eyes looked straight at him. There was something about her face that made the cowboy feel uncomfortable and curious at the same time. He took a step closer, unsure of what to do. She smiled slightly, but her smile was not warm. It was calm and quiet, like she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Her eyes did not show anger. They showed something else, something deeper. The cowboy tried to speak, but his voice did not come out. He felt his throat tighten. He had a strange feeling in his chest, like a memory was trying to push its way through. Then the woman spoke again.
"You don't remember the river, cowboy?"
she asked. The cowboy's heart jumped. He did not move. He just stared at her. The words hit him like a sudden wind. The river he had not thought about in years. The river he had tried to forget. He shook his head slowly. "I don't know what you mean," he said. The woman stepped forward a little. She looked at him with calm eyes, as if she had already expected this answer. "I'm the girl who gave you that stone," she said. The cowboy froze. His eyes widened. He could feel his hands shaking, but he tried to keep them still. He remembered the stone. He remembered holding it once, but he had not thought about it in so long that it felt like a dream. He wanted to deny it. He wanted to say that she was mistaken. But his body did not let him lie. His mind started to bring back images like pieces of a puzzle. He saw the river. He saw the water shining under the sun. He saw the sound of the river moving, soft and steady. He saw the trees by the riverbank. He saw the sky above. He saw a younger version of himself, tired and hurt, sitting on the ground. He saw a woman with dark hair approaching him. He remembered her hands reaching out, offering him something small and smooth. He remembered her eyes, calm and strong. He remembered the stone. He swallowed hard. His voice came out shaky. "That was a long time ago," he said.
I don't remember much.
The woman nodded slowly. She did not seem surprised. She looked as if she had expected him to say that. But her eyes stayed focused on him. "You remember now?" she said softly. The cowboy did not answer. He looked at her, trying to find more proof that this was real. He wanted to ask questions, but he did not know where to begin. He felt a strange mixture of fear and relief. Fear because he did not know why she had returned. Relief because he was no longer alone with the memory. The woman stepped closer. She looked at him with a calm expression. "You have been living here for years," she said. "You have been trying to forget." The cowboy did not respond. He felt his cheeks grow hot. He did not like being seen like this. He did not like the feeling of being known by someone he had forgotten. The woman continued, "You left the river a long time ago. You rode away. You did not look back." The cowboy's mind flashed back to that day. He remembered riding away on his horse, his heart heavy. He remembered the sound of the river behind him, like a voice calling his name. He remembered the stone in his pocket, warm against his skin. He had thought the stone was a simple gift. He had thought it was just a piece of rock that she found by the river. He had not understood its meaning then. He had not understood how it connected him to her. Now he realized that the stone had been more than a gift. It had been a promise, a symbol of protection, a symbol of a bond that he had never honored. He looked at the woman again. He noticed something he had not seen before. There was a quiet sadness in her eyes. It was not anger. It was sadness that came from waiting too long. The woman spoke again. "I came to see if you remembered. I came to see if you still had the stone." The cowboy's heart beat faster. He reached into his pocket without thinking. His fingers touched something smooth. He pulled it out slowly. It was the stone. It was small and dark. It was shaped like a smooth egg. The surface was polished from being held so many times. He had kept it all these years without realizing it. The woman's eyes softened for a moment. She looked at the stone like it was something precious. "You kept it," she said quietly. The cowboy nodded. He did not know what to say. He felt the weight of the stone in his hand. He felt the weight of the memory in his heart. The woman looked at him with a calm expression. She did not demand anything. She only spoke softly, as if she wanted him to hear her words clearly. "Do you remember why I gave it to you?" she asked. The cowboy closed his eyes. He remembered the day clearly now. He remembered the river. He remembered being hurt and tired. He remembered the feeling of fear. He remembered thinking he might not survive. He remembered her. She had approached him without fear. She had offered him the stone and said it would keep him safe. She had spoken in a language he did not fully understand, but her eyes had been clear. He opened his eyes and looked at her. "I remember," he said quietly. "You said it would keep me safe." The woman nodded. "Not only safe," she said. "It was a promise. It was a reminder. It was a bond between us." The cowboy felt a strange emotion rise in him. He did not know what to call it. It was not love. It was not friendship. It was something deeper, like respect and guilt mixed together. He looked at the woman and asked, "Why are you here now?" The woman took a breath. She looked at the sky for a moment, then back at him. "I have been waiting," she said. "I waited to see if you would ever remember. I waited to see if you would ever come back to the river. But you did not." so I came to find you." The cowboy felt his heart sink. He did not know what to say. He wanted to apologize, but he did not know how. He wanted to explain, but he did not know if any words would be enough. The woman continued, "You think you forgot the river, but the river never forgot you. It is still there. It still remembers." The cowboy looked at the trading post, then back at her. The wind moved through the trees. The world felt quiet. He realized that the past was not gone. It had only been hidden. He had been living with it without knowing. He had been trying to escape it, but it had followed him all these years. The woman held his gaze. Her voice was calm, but it carried strength.
"I am not here to blame you," she said.
"I am here to remind you." The cowboy swallowed hard. He felt the stone in his hand. Bay, bay. He felt the memory rising inside him like a river returning to its path. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know what the woman wanted from him, but he knew one thing clearly. The river had returned to his life, and he could no longer ignore it. The cowboy stood still, feeling the stone in his hand. He looked at the Apache woman and felt a mix of emotions. His heart was beating fast, and his mind was full of questions. He had not expected this. He had not expected his past to come back like this. He had not expected someone to find him after so many years. The woman watched him calmly. She did not rush him. She did not force him to speak. She only waited, like she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. The cowboy felt a strange kind of respect for her. He realized she was not a person who demanded things. She was a person who carried her own strength, quietly. Finally, he spoke. "Why are you here?" he asked again, but this time his voice was softer. "Why did you come all the way here to find me?" The woman looked at him, her eyes steady. "Because you forgot," she said. "Because you left. Because the stone was still with you, and you never returned it. I wanted to see if you remembered the promise." The cowboy felt a sudden sting in his chest. He did not like hearing the word promise. He did not like the idea that he had left something unfinished. He had always thought he had simply moved on. He had always believed that the past was behind him. But the woman's words made him realize that the past was not behind him. It was still inside him, and it had a way of waiting. He looked down at the stone again. It felt heavier now. It felt like it was not only a stone, but a reminder of something important. He held it carefully, as if it could break. "I didn't know it was a promise," he said. "I thought it was just a gift." The woman nodded. "That is what you thought," she said. "But a promise is not always spoken. Sometimes it is given. Sometimes it is carried. You carried it all these years." The cowboy felt a quiet sadness. He had not realized how much the stone had mattered. He had not realized that he had been holding something that belonged to someone else. He had not realized that he had been holding a part of someone's life. The woman stepped closer. She spoke softly, almost like she was telling a story. "Do you remember the day you were hurt?" she asked. The cowboy closed his eyes. He remembered. He remembered the pain. He remembered the fear. He remembered the feeling of being alone. He remembered the river. "Yes," he said quietly. "I remember." The woman continued. "You were tired. You were hurt. You had been traveling for days. You did not know where you were going. You thought you were lost." The cowboy nodded. The memory was clear now. He remembered the hot sun, the dry land, and the river that seemed like a miracle. He remembered how the water looked like it was shining, like it was calling to him. He remembered how he had walked toward it without thinking. The woman's voice was calm as she spoke. "I saw you by the river. You were not well. You were weak. You could not walk far. I came to help." The cowboy opened his eyes and looked at her. He remembered her face, young and kind. He remembered how she had not been afraid of him. He remembered how she had spoken softly and how her eyes had looked like they understood something deeper than words. "I didn't know you were watching," he said quietly. The woman nodded. "I was watching. I was watching because I knew you were in danger. I was watching because I knew the river was not safe for everyone. I was watching because I knew you needed help." The cowboy felt his throat tighten. He did not want to admit how much he had needed help. He had always been proud. He had always wanted to be strong. He had always wanted to face things alone. But he had not been alone at the river. He had not been alone when the stone was placed in his hand. He had not been alone when she spoke to him. The woman continued, "I gave you the stone because it was a symbol of protection. It was not magic. It was a reminder that you were not alone. It was a reminder that you had someone who cared." The cowboy looked down at the stone. He could still feel its smooth surface. He could still feel the memory of her hand passing it to him. He could still feel the warmth of the moment. He had thought it was just a small act of kindness. He had thought it was nothing more than a way to help a stranger. But now he realized it had been more than that. It had been a connection. The woman looked at him. She did not show anger, but she showed something else. She showed the weight of waiting. She showed the weight of being forgotten.
"You left," she said.
"You left without saying thank you. You left without saying goodbye."
You left without knowing what your leaving meant to me. The cowboy felt his heart sink.
He did not know what to say. He wanted to apologize, but the words would not come. He had never been good at saying things like that. He had always been the type of man who acted instead of spoke. But now he realized that actions alone were not enough. Words were needed too. He looked at the woman and said, "I'm sorry." The woman listened. Her face did not change much, but her eyes softened slightly. She did not smile. She did not show excitement. She simply looked at him with a calm expression. "Your apology is heard," she said. "But it is not only about the stone. It is about what happened after." The cowboy's mind began to feel heavy. He realized there was more to the story than he remembered. He realized there was a reason she had waited so long. He realized there was a reason she had come to find him. He asked, "What happened after?" The woman looked away for a moment as if she was remembering something painful. Then she looked back at him. "After you left, I had to go back to my village," she said. "I had to explain what happened. I had to explain why I helped you." The cowboy listened. He felt a strange feeling of guilt. He had never thought about how his presence might have affected her life. He had never thought about the consequences of being helped. The woman continued, "Some people did not understand. They thought you were dangerous. They thought you were a threat. They did not know you were hurt. They did not know you were a man who needed help." The cowboy's heart beat faster. He felt the weight of the situation. He realized he had not only been saved, he had also caused someone to face trouble because of him. He felt ashamed. The woman spoke again. "I had to leave my home. I had to leave my family. I had to travel to a new place. I carried the stone with me, hoping you would remember." The cowboy's eyes widened. He did not expect this. He did not expect that his leaving had caused her to leave too. He did not expect that the stone had been so important to her. He felt a deep sadness. He said softly, "I didn't know." "I know," she said. "You did not know." But now you know." The cowboy looked at her, and he felt a new kind of respect. He realized she had been brave in a way he had never understood. She had done something that cost her a lot. She had helped a stranger, even when it was risky. She had carried the weight of that choice for many years. He felt ashamed for not seeing it before. The woman continued, "I did not come here to blame you. I came here to remind you. I came here because I believe in truth. I believe in remembering." The cowboy nodded slowly. He felt the memory of the river inside him. He felt the stone in his hand. He felt the woman standing in front of him, strong and calm. He realized that he could no longer pretend the past was gone. He could no longer ignore the river. He could no longer ignore the promise. He looked at the woman and asked, "What do you want from me now?" The woman smiled slightly. It was a small smile, but it felt warm. She did not look angry. She looked like someone who had waited long enough. "I want you to remember," she said. "I want you to remember the river. I want you to remember the promise. I want you to remember that you are not alone." The cowboy nodded. He did not know what to say. He felt a mix of emotions. He felt sadness, guilt, and respect. He felt a strange kind of hope. The woman stepped back, giving him space. She looked at the stone in his hand, then at his face. "Tomorrow," she said, "we will go to the river." The cowboy stared at her. He was surprised. He did not know what to do. He had never planned to return to that place. He had never planned to face the past. But he felt something in his heart move. He felt a pull, like a river calling him back. He nodded slowly. "Tomorrow," he said. The woman nodded and turned away, as if her mission for the day was complete. She walked back toward the trading post, her steps calm and steady. The cowboy watched her go, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. He looked at the stone again. He held it tightly, as if it could guide him. He felt the memory of the river rising inside him like a tide. He knew his life was about to change. He just did not know how much. The next morning the cowboy woke before the sun. He lay in bed for a moment, staring at the ceiling. He could still feel the stone in his pocket, heavy and real. It was strange how something so small could carry so much meaning. He had never believed in signs or symbols, but now he felt the weight of the past pressing on him. He got dressed and went outside. The air was cool and quiet. The town was still asleep. He walked to the barn and checked on his horse. The horse looked back at him with calm eyes, as if it knew something important was happening. The cowboy fed the horse and prepared for the journey. He did not know why he felt nervous, but he did. He had not returned to the river in many years. He had not even thought about it. But now, the memory was calling him, and he could not ignore it. He took a small bag with food and water. He tied the stone carefully to the bag, like he was protecting it. He walked to the trading post where he had met the Apache woman the day before. The woman was already there, waiting. She stood near the door, calm and quiet. Her eyes met his, and he felt a strange comfort in her presence. It was as if she had been waiting for him for a long time, and now that he was there, everything felt more real. The cowboy nodded to her. "I'm ready," he said. The woman nodded back. "Then let's go," she said. They walked out of town together. The cowboy felt the eyes of a few people watching them. The town was not used to seeing a man walk with an Apache woman, but no one said anything. They simply watched. The cowboy did not care. He felt like he was walking toward something that mattered more than what anyone thought. The road to the river was long. The land was dry and open. The sun rose higher in the sky, making the air warm. The cowboy and the woman walked in silence. The silence was not uncomfortable. It felt calm, like the kind of silence that happens when two people understand each other without words. As they walked, the cowboy thought about the woman's life. He wondered how many years she had carried the stone. He wondered how many times she had thought about him. He wondered what it had been like for her to leave her home because of him. He wanted to ask her, but he did not know how. He did not want to speak too much and risk saying something wrong. He wanted to show respect. The woman finally spoke. "You have been living here a long time," she said.
You built a life. You have a ranch. You have work. You have routine.
The cowboy nodded. "Yes," he said. "I have a life." The woman looked at him. "But did you ever feel like something was missing?" she asked. The cowboy thought about it. He had always felt a small emptiness inside, but he had never understood why. He had blamed it on age, on loneliness, on hard work. He had never blamed it on the river. He looked at the woman and said, "Sometimes I didn't know what it was." The woman nodded. "That emptiness is the memory of what you left behind," she said. "You tried to fill it with work, with routine, with distance, but it never truly left." The cowboy felt a shiver. He did not like hearing the truth spoken so simply. It made him feel exposed, but at the same time it made him feel understood. It made him feel like someone else knew what he had been carrying all these years. They continued walking. The land slowly changed. The dry grass became greener. The air became cooler. The sound of water became faint in the distance. The cowboy's heart began to beat faster. He felt the river's presence before he saw it. He felt it like a memory returning. The woman stopped and pointed ahead. "There," she said. "That is the river." The cowboy looked. He saw the river flowing through the land, calm and steady. It looked smaller than he remembered. It looked peaceful. The sunlight shone on the water, making it sparkle. He felt a strange feeling in his chest. He did not know if it was fear or relief. He took a deep breath and walked toward the river. When he reached the riverbank, he stopped. He looked at the water and felt the memories rush back. He remembered the day he had first seen it. He remembered how he had thought it was a gift from the world. He remembered how he had felt hope for the first time in a long time. He remembered the woman. The Apache woman stood beside him, calm and quiet. She looked at the river as if it was a friend. She did not seem afraid. She did not seem surprised by his reaction. She simply stood there, waiting for him to find his own peace. The cowboy sat down on a rock near the river. He placed the stone on the ground in front of him. He stared at it, feeling the smooth surface. He felt like he was looking at a piece of his past. He looked at the woman and asked, "Why did you give it to me?" The woman looked at him. She took a moment before speaking. It felt like she was choosing her words carefully. "I gave it to you because you needed something to hold on to," she said. "You were lost. You were tired. You were afraid. The stone was a reminder that you were not alone." The cowboy listened. He could hear the river flowing, steady and calm. The sound made him feel like the world was moving forward, even if he had stopped. The woman continued, "I gave it to you because I believed in you. I believed you could survive. I believed you could become someone good." The cowboy felt his eyes fill with tears. He quickly blinked them away. He did not want the woman to see him cry. He had not cried in many years. He had always thought crying was a weakness, but now he realized that tears were not weakness. Tears were a way for the heart to release what it had been holding for too long. He looked at the woman and said, "I never knew you believed in me." The woman smiled slightly. "I did. she said. I still do. The cowboy felt a warmth in his chest. He had never expected to hear those words. He had never expected someone to believe in him without knowing him. He had never expected someone to care so much. He looked at the river and felt a strange sense of calm. He realized that the river had been a turning point in his life. It had saved him. It had changed him. It had given him a chance to live again. But it had also changed the woman's life. He turned to her and asked, "Did you have to leave your home because of me?" The woman nodded. "Yes," she said. "Some people did not understand. They thought helping you was wrong. They thought you were a danger. I had to leave. I had to protect my family. I had to protect myself." The cowboy felt a deep sadness. He did not know how to respond. He felt guilty. He felt ashamed. He wished he could go back in time and change things, but he knew he could not. The woman continued, "I carried the stone with me for many years. It was a reminder of you. It was a reminder of the river. It was a reminder of the choice I made." The cowboy listened. He felt the weight of her words. He realized that his life had not been the only one affected. Her life had been shaped by the same moment. He felt a strong desire to make things right. He wanted to do something to honor her sacrifice. He wanted to show her that he remembered. He wanted to show her that he cared. He looked at the stone again. He picked it up and held it tightly. He felt the smooth surface in his hand. He felt the memory of the river. He felt the memory of the woman. He stood up and walked toward the water. He dipped his fingers into the river. The water was cool and clear. It felt refreshing. He looked at the water and felt a sense of peace. He turned to the woman and said, "Thank you. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for believing in me."
I am sorry for what you had to go through.
The woman listened. She did not speak right away. She simply looked at him. Her eyes were calm, but they held a deep emotion. Finally, she said, "Your words are enough, but actions matter too." The cowboy nodded. He understood. He knew he needed to do more than speak. He needed to show her that he would not forget again. He looked at the river and felt a new sense of purpose. He realized that the river was not only a place, it was a memory. It was a promise. It was a connection between two lives. He turned to the woman and said, "I will not forget. I promise." The woman nodded, satisfied. She looked at the river one last time, then back at him. She seemed calm, like a weight had been lifted. The cowboy felt a new feeling inside him. It was not just guilt anymore. It was hope. He felt like he was finally ready to face the past and move forward. They stayed by the river for a while longer, speaking softly and quietly. The sun moved slowly across the sky. The river flowed steadily, as if it had been waiting for them all this time. When it was time to leave, the cowboy felt a strong sense of gratitude. He knew this moment would stay with him forever. He picked up the stone and placed it carefully back in his pocket. He looked at the woman and nodded. "Let's go," he said. They walked away from the river, side by side, and the memory of the water followed them like a gentle song. After leaving the river, the cowboy felt different. The air felt lighter, and the world seemed clearer. The memory of the river was still in his mind, but it did not feel heavy anymore. It felt like a part of him that had finally been found. He walked beside the Apache woman, and for the first time, he did not feel uncomfortable being close to her. He realized she was not only strong, but also kind. He realized she had a calm presence that made him feel safe. They walked in silence for a while. The road back to town was quiet. The sun was beginning to lower in the sky. and the air was cooling. The cowboy felt the stone in his pocket, and he could not stop thinking about how much it had changed his life. Finally, the woman spoke. "You have a good heart," she said. The cowboy stopped walking and looked at her. He felt a bit surprised. He did not expect her to say that. He had always believed he was just a simple man doing what he could to survive. He said, "I don't know if that is true." The woman smiled slightly. "It is true," she said. "You helped many people without knowing it. You worked hard. You stayed honest. You tried to do right." The cowboy felt a small warmth inside. He had never thought of himself that way. He had always believed he was just ordinary. But her words made him feel like he mattered. He continued walking. The woman walked beside him, calm and quiet. He noticed how she looked at the land, how she seemed to understand it. He wondered what her life had been like. He wondered what she had left behind. He wanted to ask her more about her life, but he did not know if it was the right time. He did not want to pry. He did not want to bring up painful memories, but he also wanted to understand her. He wanted to understand what she had sacrificed. He wanted to understand what it meant to carry the stone for so many years. He finally asked, "What was your life like after you left?" The woman paused. She looked at the sky for a moment. Then she looked at him again. "My life changed," she said. "I had to start over. I had to find a new place to live. I had to learn new ways. I had to be careful." The cowboy listened. He could feel the weight of her words. He could feel the pain she had carried. He could feel the courage it took to start again. She continued, "I missed my family. I missed my home. But I knew I had to keep going."
I knew I had to survive. The cowboy felt a deep sadness.
He realized that he had not only been saved, he had also caused her to lose something important. He felt guilty, but he also felt grateful. He felt grateful that she had been brave enough to help him, even when it cost her so much. The woman looked at him and said, "You don't have to feel guilty. You did not know. You were young and lost. You were not a bad person."
"You were simply a man who needed help?"
The cowboy nodded slowly. He understood what she was saying, but he also knew that her life had changed because of him. He could not ignore that. He looked at her and asked, "Did you ever regret helping me?" The woman looked at him for a moment. Her eyes were calm, but there was a small sadness in them. She thought for a moment before answering. "No," she said. "I did not regret it. I would do it again if I had to, but I did regret that I had to leave my home. I regretted that I had to carry the stone alone." The cowboy listened. He felt a new respect for her. He realized she had not only helped him, but she had also paid a price. She had carried the stone like a burden, but she had also carried it like a treasure. He thought about the stone again. He realized that it was not only a symbol of protection, it was also a symbol of trust. She had trusted him with something important. She had trusted him to remember. The cowboy felt the need to do something. He wanted to show her that he would not forget again. He wanted to show her that her sacrifice mattered. He said, "I want to help you." The woman looked at him, surprised. She did not expect him to say that. She had not asked for help. She had not wanted anything from him. She had only wanted him to remember. The cowboy continued, "I want to help you in any way I can. I want to make things right." The woman listened. She did not speak right away. She looked at him carefully. Then she smiled slightly. "You don't have to," she said. "You already remembered. That is enough." The cowboy shook his head. "No," he said, "it is not enough. I want to do something more." The woman looked at him. She seemed to think for a moment. Then she said, "If you want to help, then do not forget again. Do not let the stone stay hidden in your pocket. Do not let the river become a forgotten memory." The cowboy nodded. "I won't," he said. The woman continued, "And if you ever see someone who needs help, do not turn away. Help them, even if it is difficult, even if it costs you something." The cowboy listened. He felt the truth in her words. He realized that helping someone was not always easy. It could be risky. It could change your life. But it was the right thing to do. He looked at her and said, "I will remember that." They continued walking. The sun was lower now, and the sky was painted with soft colors. The land looked beautiful in the evening light. The cowboy felt a new sense of peace. He felt like he was finally understanding something important about life. He realized that the river had not only saved him, it had also taught him a lesson. It had taught him that life is about more than survival. It is about connection. It is about caring for others. The cowboy thought about his own life. He thought about the people in town. He thought about the people who had helped him without expecting anything in return. He thought about the kindness he had received over the years. He felt grateful. He also felt a new sense of responsibility. He realized that he had been given a second chance. He realized that he had a duty to honor the people who had helped him. He realized that he had a duty to live a good life. The woman walked beside him, quiet and calm. She seemed at peace. She seemed like someone who had finally been heard. She seemed like someone who had finally found a place where her story mattered. The cowboy looked at her and said, "Thank you for coming back." The woman nodded.
"Thank you for remembering," she said. They walked the rest of the way back to town.
The sky darkened, and the first stars appeared. The town was quiet, but the cowboy felt a new energy inside him. He felt like his life had changed. He knew the next days would be different. He knew he would think about the river more. He knew he would think about the woman more. He knew he would think about the stone more. But he also knew that he was no longer running from his past. He was facing it. He was accepting it. He was honoring it. And that was the most important step of all. The days after the river visit felt different for the cowboy. He woke up earlier than usual. He did not rush through his work. He took time to think. He felt a new calm inside him, like a heavy weight had been lifted from his heart. He still had the stone in his pocket. He could feel it every time he moved. It was not just a stone anymore. It was a reminder of a moment that changed his life. It was a reminder of a woman who had helped him without expecting anything in return. He found himself looking at the sky more often. He found himself thinking about the river. He found himself wondering about the woman's life. He wanted to know more about her, but he also did not want to ask too much. He did not want to cause her pain by bringing up memories she had already carried for years. One evening, as the sun began to set, the cowboy saw the Apache woman walking toward his ranch. She was carrying a small bag. She looked calm, and her face showed a quiet strength. When she reached the ranch gate, she stopped and looked at him. The cowboy walked out to meet her. He felt his heart beat faster. He was not sure what to expect. He wondered if she had come to leave again. He wondered if she had come to say goodbye. She looked at him and spoke softly. "I wanted to see you again," she said. The cowboy felt a warmth in his chest. He nodded. "I'm glad you came," he said. The woman smiled slightly. It was a small smile, but it felt meaningful. She looked around the ranch, taking in the land and the work. She seemed to be thinking. Then she said, I have been thinking about the stone. The cowboy felt a sudden nervousness. He had been thinking about the stone, too. He had been thinking about what it meant and what he should do with it. He did not know if he was ready to let it go. The woman continued, "You have carried it for many years. It is heavy. I think it is time for it to return home." The cowboy looked at her. He felt his heart sink. He did not want to lose the stone. It had become a part of him. But he also understood what she meant. The stone was not his. It belonged to her. It belonged to the river. It belonged to the memory of that moment. He took the stone out of his pocket and held it in his hand. He looked at it carefully. He felt the smooth surface. He felt the memory of the river. He looked at the woman and said, "If you want it back, you can have it." The woman shook her head. "I do not want it back," she said.
"Not to keep it. I want it to be placed where it belongs." The cowboy felt confused.
"Where does it belong?" he asked. The woman looked at him, her eyes calm. "It belongs by the river," she said. "It belongs to the place where you were saved. It belongs to the place where the promise began." The cowboy listened. He understood. He realized that the stone was not just a gift. It was a symbol of a moment in time. It was a reminder of a promise that needed to be honored. He felt a sense of peace. He knew what he had to do. He said, "Then we should take it back to the river." The woman nodded. "Yes," she said, "we should." The next morning, the cowboy and the Apache woman prepared to travel to the river again. The cowboy felt nervous, but he also felt ready. He had learned so much in the last few days. He had learned that the past could be faced. He had learned that memories could be healed. He had learned that promises could be honored. They walked together, side by side, like two people who shared a secret. The land looked familiar now. The sun shone brightly. The air felt clean. The cowboy felt a strange joy in his heart. He felt like he was doing something important. When they reached the river, the water looked calm and peaceful. The river flowed slowly, as if it had been waiting for them. The cowboy walked to the same spot where he had sat before. He placed the stone on the ground carefully. The woman stood beside him, watching. She looked calm. She looked like someone who had finally found closure. The cowboy felt a sense of calm, too. He looked at the stone and spoke softly. "This stone was given to me," he said. "It saved my life. It reminded me that I was not alone."
"It reminded me of you." The woman nodded.
"And it reminded me of you," she said. The cowboy continued, "I have carried it for many years. I kept it safe. I kept it close. But now I understand that it is not mine to keep." He paused for a moment. He looked at the river. The water flowed steadily, as if listening. He said, "I want to return it. I want to let it be part of the river again." The woman nodded. She looked at the river with calm eyes. The cowboy picked up the stone and walked to the edge of the water. He looked at the river and took a deep breath. He felt the cool air on his face. He felt the sound of the water. He closed his eyes and gently placed the stone in the river. The water carried it slowly. It floated for a moment, then sank to the bottom. The stone disappeared into the river's depths. The cowboy opened his eyes. He felt a strange feeling of peace. He felt like something inside him had been completed. He felt like he had finally honored the promise. The woman watched the river, Ka. She looked calm. She looked like she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. She turned to the cowboy and spoke softly. "You did well," she said. "You remembered. You returned what was not yours.
You honored the promise. The cowboy felt tears in his eyes.
He blinked them away quickly. He did not want to cry in front of her again, but he could not stop the feeling in his heart. He looked at her and said, "Thank you for everything, for saving me, for believing in me."
For reminding me.
The woman smiled slightly. "You are welcome," she said. "Now you are free." The cowboy looked at her. He did not understand what she meant at first. He asked, "Free from what?" The woman looked at him with calm eyes. "Free from the weight of the past," she said. "Free from the memory that held you. Free from the guilt you carried." The cowboy felt a new sense of calm. He realized she was right. He had been carrying the past like a heavy load. He had been holding on to guilt without knowing it. Now, by returning the stone, he had released it. He felt lighter. He felt peaceful. The woman continued, "Now you can live fully. You can live without the past holding you back." The cowboy nodded. He felt a smile on his face. He felt like he could finally breathe. They stayed by the river for a while longer. They spoke quietly, sharing stories of the past and the present. The cowboy learned more about the woman's life. He learned about her family, her village, and her dreams. He learned that she had been strong, not only in helping him, but also in surviving and building a new life. The woman learned about his life, too. She learned about his ranch, his work, and the people he had helped. She learned that he had become a good man, even if he had once been lost. They realized that their lives had changed because of each other. They realized that the river had connected them in a way that could not be broken. When it was time to leave, they walked back toward the town. The sun was low in the sky, and the air felt calm. The cowboy felt a deep gratitude in his heart. He felt like he had been given a second chance. As they reached the town, the woman stopped. She turned to the cowboy and spoke softly. "I will go now," she said. The cowboy felt a sudden sadness. He did not want her to leave again. He had grown used to her presence. He had grown to respect her deeply. He had grown to feel a connection he could not explain. He looked at her and asked, "Will I see you again?" The woman smiled gently. "Maybe," she said. "But even if you do not, remember this. The river will always remember you." The cowboy nodded. He understood. He felt the truth in her words. He knew the river would always be a part of him. The woman turned and walked away. She disappeared into the distance, calm and quiet, like she had always been. The cowboy watched her go. He felt a mix of sadness and peace. He stood there for a moment, looking at the road she had taken. He felt the memory of the river inside him. He felt the stone inside the river, resting where it belonged. He turned and walked back to his ranch. The world felt brighter. The air felt lighter. His heart felt free. He knew he would never forget the river again. He knew he would never forget the woman who gave him the stone. He knew that he had finally honored the promise. And he knew that, even though the past could not be changed, it could be remembered with respect and peace.